Welcome to Relationship Talk, the podcast where we have real conversations about love, well-being, dating, and relationships. In today's episode, I had the amazing opportunity to have yet another powerful conversation with none other than the Susan Winter, who is a world-renowned relationship expert, best-selling author, and TV personality. Susan specializes in helping people to find and keep love. Whether it's dating issues, relationship challenges, or gaining inner confidence, she is truly here to help you progress and succeed. You can find out more about Susan's incredible work in the show notes. During our conversation today, Susan shares her gems on self-care, well-being, and personal empowerment, which is so essential when it comes to that all-important relationship that we have with ourselves and for having healthy, meaningful relationships with other people too. We talk about how our mindset and our energy play a crucial role when it comes to attracting and sustaining love, the limiting beliefs or negative self-talk that sabotage people's chances of having deep connections. We also explore the gift in the pain that we may be experiencing right now. And we also delve into what self-care practices look like and how we can incorporate that into our regular dealings. And so much more. You are about to get the whole RLT, aka Relationship Talk. So you're gonna want to watch the entire episode. I truly hope that you find this conversation as empowering as I did. And remember to subscribe, hit that like button and notification bell. I'm Teresha Young, your international wellness and relationship coach. Enjoy, take notes, and get ready to apply all key messages you take away today. Susan, it's such an honor and a privilege to have you back on the show. How have you been since we last had our conversation?
I've been busy, but I've been wonderful. I took time off to go visit clients and see cities I wanted to see. I wanted to go to Singapore. I can't say enough about that country. And I was met with such gracious, wonderful people. And I had clients and fans fly in from Japan, Myanmar, India. It was such a beautiful experience. So it was a bucket list, right?
Oh, absolutely. Such an incredible year, because you also shared with me that you did an interview with Kiss FM. I think you said.
I am not sophisticated enough to push or ask for anything. So I just happened to be Instagramming hashtag Singapore. And one of my fans happened to be a host. I'd never met these people before. Half the people that I work with, I've never known them before. And he said, if you're going to be in town, can you do it Friday? I'm like, of course. And he was so sweet. I mean, he told me I helped him through a breakup, just the old videos. I've never worked with these people. I'm in New York. Sorry about that. That's just the way it is. And he said that the videos actually got him to the other side of the breakup. And, he was so sweet. So we're hugging on first meeting. And at the same time, I had a client fly in from Myanmar because she was going to be in for the weekend. I said, you have to play tour guide with me if you don't mind. And so she was there taking photos. Like, how lucky is that? And he said, it makes me want to cry, because he said he's interviewed all these celebrities that come with their press team. He said, you just showed up in Singapore. And he said, I'm more nervous interviewing you because I care for you so much. And I know that, it's just incredible. You never know. You too, Teresha, you don't know who's listening to this today. It's going to hear something that you don't work with them. They may never write you, but one day you learn that your work had an impact, right?
Oh, what a wonderful feeling to have that deeper meaning that you just don't know. It's all about how you make people feel. There's that wonderful quote by Maya Angelou about the way that you make people feel. And I absolutely love that lasting effect that you had and that impact on him. What beautiful feedback, sweet feedback, it really is.
Thank you.
Oh, in our conversation that we had last time, it was such a wonderful, delicious conversation, Susan. I really enjoyed it, and it went down so well with listeners. And by the way, if you haven't listened to it, for anybody listening to the show right now, if you haven't listened to it, I strongly invite you to go back and listen to it. It's a wonderful episode on the do's and don'ts for dating and relationship success. And in that conversation, we touch upon so many empowering topics, such as the challenges of modern dating and how to overcome those successfully. We also spoke about the moments, the perfect moment to DTR, define the relationship. And
yeah, you don't want to do that 3 months in. Like, where do you see us going?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not empowered.
It's not the same place where we were 3 months ago. Going nowhere fast. So it's really important to DTR, and also the terms of engagement we spoke about. What does that actually look like for the relationship? And that's so important to define that.
Absolutely. I have so many clients that it never occurred to them, like me when I was younger, that I can put my hands on the steering wheel. Like, I'm in this too. It's not just a matter of, do you like me? Would you accept me? Do you want to love me? I don't want to you off. I don't want to bother you, because God forbid you might cast me aside. Yes. So let me be everything you want, none of which maybe I want to do, or so we keep forgetting that to really be happy, we need to have our hands on the steering wheel. So I had my one and only master class or coaching class for a prolonged period of time. I had everybody take a photograph, have your friend take a photograph of you with your hands on the steering wheel of a car. If you don't have a car, get a bicycle. If you don't have a bicycle, go to an arcade and hold on to a little thing like this. So I wanted them to put it someplace prominent to remember you have the steering wheel in your hand. And if you're not driving, somebody else is, right?
Exactly. And how disempowering is that? If we are being the passenger of that relationship and not also the co-pilot of that relationship, it's so disempowering. Really is. So I love the fact that you use that analogy, and to take that, what a physical,
you have to see it.
Yes.
We're talking about concepts, and philosophical concepts are hard to bring down into life, into day-to-day living. So any touchstone that makes sense to us, whether it's an affirmation, you like affirmations, or it's a thought, whatever it does to ground you, an image to remind you the truth of who you are and what your rights are. I mean, I've long thought that I needed to write a book on, your human rights as far as dating, like what your innate rights are as a human being.
Yes.
Because so like yourself, in dealing with clients and dealing with a variety of people, we're really just dissecting human nature.
Yes.
We're giving directives. We're trying to impart some good training so that they know what to do when they come to, this roadblock and like this avalanche. Now, here's what you do here. And so we try to prepare them, right? But at the end of the day, we are just talking about decoding human nature and being one step ahead of what's going on. It's so hard for I think the most fragile heart is the innocent, pure first love with no connection whatsoever. Just barrels into love, and it's rarely a positive outlook.
And it's that innocence as well, and it's that childlike innocence, going in there with curiosity. Like, what can I learn from this experience? What can I learn from the other person? What can I learn about myself? And I don't believe that sometimes we allow that element of curiosity for all of the reasons why we might have those limiting beliefs that show up for us.
Not only that, but I remember years ago, I wrote an article about, the first heartbreak is that it's so exquisite and so pure. The love is just so, the sky is bluer, the grass is greener, you're euphoric. It's a lot of hormones and drugs going off in your body, but this total merging, no ego boundaries with another person. And then the loss of that is so incomprehensible that it feels like you're physically going to perish because it's so profound. And yet the bittersweet irony of that is that we seek that level of openness for the rest of our lives. And it is increasingly difficult as we become jaded, as we get dating burnout, to try to recapture that innocence, that purity of love, which normally in a mature, healthy, another adult will spark their love, because the purity of the intention of the love, it's like dogs, doggy smiles at you, a baby. I mean, it's just your heart opens, and it's hard to open up your heart or have another open up their heart if you're hard and closed. So yeah, it's a kind of a double-edged sword there.
It is. It's those difference between boundaries and barriers that we can sometimes put into place, that tightness, that spikiness that we can develop over time.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It is. Which is why I love your ethos as well, with all that you're talking about there, which we did speak about on the last episode, which was keep the dream, replace the person.
Yeah, I have these little quotes just for fun, because I needed to make it simple so you can remember it. I've got another thing I used to say. So I dated bad boys on purpose because I really had long-term relationships. I didn't know what to tell people. And I'm looking at what my girlfriends are doing. I'm like, oh, they're not even going to listen to me. So I tried to figure out, if you're going to play, how to be safer, I guess you'd say. And I remember saying to one fellow next to me, I said, I won't be less just because you can't be more. Okay. Ooh. Got it? Oh, yeah.
That was a mic drop, Susan.
Yeah. These things come flying out, and then somebody will say, oh my God, I love that. What did you just say? I'm like, I don't really remember.
But it was the truth. It was my truth, which can share. I absolutely love your quotes that come out, because they do resonate. And it's so important when you are overcoming the breakup, because I remember my first heartbreak and how devastating and how crippling that was for me. I actually didn't think I was going to, that physical pain of heartache.
Yes, your heart is breaking, literally breaking. Yes.
Literally breaking. Obviously, in hindsight now, and of all the work that I've done over the years, I can say, actually, I know that I was very hopeful. I was so helpful about where this was going to lead to, but I still kept the dream. The person has been replaced, over time. There has been, some replacements. Yes. As we go along the journey. But equally, it was actually replacing that love of my own self-love. And I believe that's really what I would love to explore with you today, Susan, because self-love, personal empowerment, because we kind of touched upon it in our previous episode. Yep. And also, I listened back to one of your lives at the time when it was live, and you mentioned the phrase, thinking your way into love, which was about stop looking for the one. And then also on your recent live, you spoke about...
I'm glad you're reminding me of my life, because this is very helpful. Thank you.
Do I sound like a fangirl?
No. Because as we get older, it's nice to have other people remind us what we've actually said and lived. So I do appreciate that.
You're so welcome, Susan, because you give such beautiful, high value, empowered content. And when it lands, it really lands. And for me, I was like, thinking your way into love and stop looking for the one. And then your most recent live, and I have to say, I absolutely love your lives. I can't tune in live because...
Yeah. Well, this Thursday, I can't, because we talked about this little thing, and then I'll try and go back. Yeah. So you were there last week?
I watched the replay, and on this one, you spoke about how our obsessive thoughts and energy can push away what we actually want to attract.
The energy. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I would love to explore more about the law of attraction, your take on it, because I'm such a fan of the law of attraction. And then also your take on how mindset and energy can actually help us to attract and sustain love. Because mindset, energy, I think that's all part of self-love, in my opinion, as well. Okay. Our thoughts, our feelings, the way that we react and respond. I think I would love to know your take on that more deeply.
Okay, so let's start with the big confusion. For those of you and your followers who study law of attraction, the big conflict, I know I had this too myself. Let's say somebody's pulling away, leaving your life. You feel that you can sense that you're losing your grip on them, and you're getting that terror, that sense of, so you want to, your first boot is to boot up, is to think positive things like, okay, I'm sending love, and we're good, and we're so happy, and positive. Now, in day-to-day life, our positive thoughts can indeed affect the outcome. Before an operation, you're supposed to think positively. Your only job before an operation, rather than dig through a rabbit hole of what could go wrong, is to be in alignment with source and with your higher power, to just be receptive to the best possible outcome and to envision that. That's your job, right? And I had a scientist tell me that, who was a devout Catholic. Before an operation. And I'm like, thank you. She was fabulous. So we assume that the power of our thought, thinking about them, will re-attract them, but not in that case. The exclusion is if somebody is pulling away, they do not want your thought energy. They've got too much of it. They're trying to escape it. So in that way, your thinking about them actually makes it, how do I say it? Makes their leaving more aggressive. And I might mean that they would be more curt with you, that they'd cut you off, that they'd block you, because they're just trying to escape, like a wild animal that you're trying to comfort and take care of them, but they're trying to escape. That's all they know. And so you can't hold them down. So if they are leaving, contrary to every impulse you have in your body, the energetic thought is to allow them to go and give them a little push. Nahini, go, enjoy yourself. But it's not just the physical action. So what we're talking about now, just not contact, a gracious exit, I don't feel it, we're connecting, wish you well. And then you pull out, waiting for them to text. Not going to work. Never, ever going to work, because you're still leaking energy.
Yes.
What will work is if you follow suit with not only the action, but the energetic thought process. You must train your mind to, when it goes sniffing around, to pull it back, like the little new puppy that wants to escape every time you open up the door. You got to train it to come back and replace that thought with another positive thought that is agreeable and believable to you. If it's too far out of the realm of reality, it's going to be just empty words. So you have to train yourself to let go and trust. They may or may not come back, but you will only be interesting to them again when they do not feel your presence energetically. That's why all of us know that when you finally get over somebody, you're finally done. You realize you haven't even thought about them. And then they send you a text. Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. Miss you. Can we talk? I'm like, oh my God. Because they're a parasite and they come back to the host to try and get another feeding. They're not a good person for you, but it will always work when you really let go.
Yeah. That can be challenging, to actually really let go, because as you said, for so many reasons, we feel like being in action, being in motion is what's going to maybe bring that person back. But what I'm hearing you saying is just to release it.
If you can seduce yourself into trying this as an experiment, just like I'd say to many clients, listen, humor me for 1 week. Just do it. Go back to whatever you're doing before. Just 1 week. Try this. Not only do you get mental relief, but you also start to set in motion the fact that nobody wants to, they don't have to work when they have you there. And they don't appreciate you. They don't want you, but they don't have to work because you're always there. They take you for granted. The minute they sense you're not there, now there's like, oh, look, I want that attention. They may not even want you for the right reasons, but it gives you a little bit of satisfaction.
So what are some of the things that you can do? Let's say you catch yourself in those obsessive thoughts and that energy. What are some of the tips that you can give to the listeners to say, this is what you could do?
Catch the thought.
Yes.
Leaking energy, and associate and pair with that the understanding that this is not bringing them back. This is counterproductive. This is exactly what I don't want to do. So I commit to, I would start by just going lights, dog, tree. You're not in the present moment, right? Just like sofa, whatever. Just like, where am I? What am I doing? Just bring, because your mind is, so you want to come back to the present moment. Then you think, what is the next best thought? I believe that my perfect partner, it will be easy and effortless. It shouldn't be like this.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's going to feel natural. All this
Yeah.
work, right? So
Yeah.
that's the way you handle interrupting the negative thought. Catch yourself, ground yourself, get into the present moment rather than the loop, and replace it with a positive. But I know you wanted to talk about the attracting, using the mental energy to
Yes.
attract as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I wanted to try and remember the sequence here.
Yes.
So the same thing is true when you. So how do I describe it? Oh, there's some weird exclusions. I'm going to take one at a time. Generally, you meet somebody, they say when you're least expecting it. But what they mean is that you're living in the present moment and you're not tense and grabbing on for fear of not getting something. You're not latched onto, oh my God, I'm going out tonight. Is somebody going to look at me? Are they going to dance with me? Am I going home alone? What's going to happen? Right. So you can't be there. So when you're actually engaged in the present moment and you're with your friends and you're having a good time, or you're enjoying, I don't know, soccer, or you're in a museum or walking your dog, that's when you're most attractive because your energy is unified within you. You're not scattered. So you're the biggest expression of yourself. Right.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to be doing a monologue. You just go ahead.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, absolutely. So I'm just tapping into what you're saying there. So I'm going to go back to the first part about the negative thoughts, and then bounce back into how we can attract. So I absolutely love what you said in terms of distracting ourselves and actually just turning it to something that might just feel very true to us in that moment. So lights, dog, what can I be to be grounded and present in the moment? Because I think because the worry, the anxiety is us living in the future, isn't it? It's us thinking about what's going to happen in the future. But really, the only power we have is the now. So it's being in that now and actually grounding yourself in that moment. And something I absolutely encourage my clients to do and people that I'm working with is, firstly, when you catch yourself in that thought and you might distract yourself, celebrate that. Because your inner saboteur is going to really want to keep beating you up or keep bringing you down for those thoughts. But actually celebrate the fact for 10 seconds, do a cheer. Yep, I caught you. Aha, you're trying to bring me down. That kind of thought, because that positive reinforcement is so good. That self-love, that like oxytocin, just the same way we would praise a child. Well done, you. You've done it. Give that praise to ourselves.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah,
we don't
absolutely.
do enough of that. I know I don't do enough of that. I don't celebrate enough moments, and that's good because that's positive reinforcement. I was told by my golf teacher that every time I hit a good ball, I should kind of puff up and kind of go like, yes, because it anchors it, right? It anchors the positive.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It doesn't happen overnight. This is something that needs training and to keep doing it. And it might feel really weird and icky afterwards, like, oh, yeah, go me. Equally, it's such a lovely way to be able to acknowledge our thoughts and to saying, okay, I caught myself. I'm going to do that with care, grace, and compassion. And also, I'm going to be able to celebrate the fact that I've got that. So the more that you catch yourself, the more that you catch yourself, because I believe that a lot of what we experience is in our body. Our nervous system goes completely out of whack when we are in that high anxiety, stress, thinking about the future. So when we can bring it back to the body as well. I love one of the techniques that you shared that I actually also share with my clients is the rubber band technique. So if you catch yourself, if you have to,
it's ages old. I mean,
if you have to, just ping or a hairband, whatever you can do to catch yourself. I think that's so powerful. And I just believe that if we do bring it back to our body, Susan, as well, the breath, breathing, really regulating our nervous system. I think, all of that action in combination can really help to ground us in that present moment when we are feeling really scattered and our energy is feeling scattered. Bring it back to the body, to the breath. They say that the breath is the glue that binds the mind and the body. So, the more that we can do that, I think the better.
I think that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. That's a training that some of our Navy SEALs learn in stressful situations like life or death. So I think they learn to do this really slowed down breathing to calm themselves. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And equally, when you're talking about how we can attract those and the good vibes and everything that we can put out there, of course, I completely hear what you're saying. It's not about having toxic positivity. And I think there's a lot of that out there in terms of...
That's a new term for me. Is
toxic positivity.
Do define for me.
So
Okay.
toxic positivity is that whole, oh, there's no negative vibes, good vibes only. I know I'm only going to process good emotions, and actually not honoring the the polarity of
Okay.
the
Okay.
emotions,
Got
and
it. Got it. Got
allowing
it.
ourselves to say, yes, I don't feel very good today. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I will choose how long I sit in that feeling, in
Yes.
that emotion, but equally we can move our way back to a positive thought. So it's like
Okay.
not being
Got it.
dismissive, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I
Perfect.
think, yeah, it's so important to have that level of groundedness, as you said, when it comes to attracting, like when we are being ourselves, when we least expect it, that's when it comes through.
Right.
So
And we're so practiced in looking a certain way and having a
yeah,
certain impression. And most of your gals want men, right?
yes.
That's the orient. Okay. So um, I have discovered that men, I have heard, okay, from my experience, that nothing is more beautiful than a powerful woman who's willing to be open, vulnerable, and herself, and just
Mm.
show her whatever. That nothing is more beautiful, that's the ultimate confidence, that she can be herself in front of him without editing. And that to a man looks confident.
Mm.
So maybe the very perfect veneer that we try to um, put on ourselves to look a certain way. Perhaps that social media has told us we need to be this, or we need to act this way, or we need to be aloof, or we need to be distant, or we need to be dismissive, or whatever games. Those attract a specific kind of man that's not in it for the long run. That's a gamesman who wants to bag the difficult creature
Mm.
just for bragging rights. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get that.
I grew up in Minnesota, and I think you might have heard on one of the last live shows. Like, I go into some kid's basement, and you have these like moose heads on the wall.
Yes, I
Yes,
do hear.
I mean, in the UK, you probably have the stags, right?
Yeah, we do.
It's
Yeah.
like, but they do that with it mentally. I think they do this with women. Like, I got this one. Oh, she was
Right.
impossible to take down. She was full of confidence. I took her to the ground. You
Yeah.
know, you don't need to be one of those girls, because that does not inspire the right kind of man to chase you. It doesn't.
Yeah. And that brings me to the feeling of, negative self-talk and also limiting beliefs. And in your experience, and the
Mm.
people that you've worked with, what are some of the common negative talk, self-talk, or limiting beliefs that have been showing up for the people that you work with?
They don't tell me so much.
Mm.
They, I feel it. I see it by their actions and by their conversation, what it is. Because remember, I do that weird thing. I do one at a time. They're in and they're out. And I have
Yes.
repeat people, but I got to get it all done in 45 minutes to an hour. So
Yes.
that's a lot. I can normally sense what needs to be done. It's There will be people who start and say, I'm really insecure about this and that. And my question is, I don't know that that's an inaccurate analysis. Are you inherently insecure because you're like insecure about everything? Or is your partner doing something in this situation to make you insecure that you
Yeah.
may just not see how they're pulling the
Yeah.
strings? Are you innately anxious? Like everything makes you anxious, getting to the plane on time, getting the car, going across town. Oh my God, I'm not
Yeah.
going to get the subway. Or are you anxious in this relationship? So that's a
Mm.
discernment I think that we all have to make when
Yeah.
we're working with our clients. Negative self-talk. I know my own.
Yeah.
It like rambles, and I don't always say it. It's going on in my head. It's mostly body image, and aging. The
Mm.
ones that I have inherited from the world, not innately mine, not mine as a natural creature born here to love myself,
Mm.
but given to me by certain stereotypes that this is acceptable, this is not. And if you're not this, you're not acceptable. And as a female, we've been given far more than most men. Men have it too. Like they have a thing about being short. They have a thing about not making enough money. There are researchers that believe that body dysmorphia for
Mm.
males is going to be the big topic in the next 10 years. They're getting our disease. Well, good. Now you know what it's like, right?
Yeah. Oh
So
gosh.
I get it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I don't know
Yeah.
that I always correct it, but I can tell you this. Generally speaking, I've had people attack me most of my life for one reason or another. I'm different. I'm threatening. I'm confident. I appear confident. I stand straight, so they think I'm stuck up, whatever it is. And I'm pretty comfortable now with all that I know about myself. It's more like the self-awareness, like you're not really going to say anything to me that I don't already know. And because I already know it, I don't mind owning it. But I've had people say to me at a dinner table that I've just met, formal dinner. And what are your credits for this? I mean, in front of all these people, like I don't have a psychology degree. Most of us don't, right?
Yeah.
You got therapists leaping out of their profession because they don't want to do medical records, and they can charge 4 times the amount being a relationship coach, right? I mean, so I've pretty much been on the defense most of my life.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, I'm pretty cool with who I am.
Oh,
So it's different. It's not that I don't get the body image thing saying, oh God, looks like somebody played tennis across the front of your legs, like against a backboard. Or, I used to be really perky in my hind end. Well, that's what happens when you don't work out for months at a time. But but these are kind of minor to how I feel about Susan. So that's why one of the directives that has worked for me is I'm not trying to love myself. That's like some huge thing. I don't even know what that means.
Yes.
But I can agree with myself. I understand why I made the choices I did. Would I make different choices now? Yeah, because I got different information. But at the time, I made the choice, given the information and where my head was, that on some level, even if it looked counterproductive, was actually serving my higher intention. And it may not match everybody else's level of success, but it was, I guess, my choice. And so all in all, the choices I've made are radical, but I didn't have a predictable life. I didn't do it the right way. I didn't check off the boxes, Teresha. I didn't do that. I went off road and like carved area, like fell in love with a younger man, became a fantasy action figure in my late 40s, having had like a soft body my whole, just weird stuff that I never saw, or this career. So I think when we start to look at what some might think is peculiar or odd or defective as unique and different, and giving that some credit, that distinguishes you from bland, regular carbon copies of everybody else.
Yeah.
That was a long conversation. I'm sorry about that.
No, don't need to apologize, because I think, really what you were describing there from your personal experience was how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your mind. And this is what this conversation is all about. How do we take care of our mindset and our energy in order to, whether you call it self-love, self-care, well-being, whatever terminology sits comfortably with you. What you have shared there, Susan, I'm sure is going to land with so many people. And what was coming up for me when you was talking there is, what does taking care of Susan look like? Because you've kind of on a daily basis, because
I'm horrible at it. I mean, to have boundaries for me, because I get so invested in my clients, I get so invested in my work.
Yeah,
I'll blow off going to the gym, which makes me feel good, and then I don't like the way it's just a whole circle.
Yeah.
I have done a couple things that are very positive. At 8, my mother has passed. I have no relatives to worry about phone calls in the middle of the night. If you're a mom, you can't do it. If you've got an elderly parent, my phone is off at 8:00. My time, my relaxation, I've had enough. So I've been going all day. So now it's me time. And now, after surgeries, I actually give myself a day or two to recover.
Love that. So important, Susan. So important. So critical. A day or two.
I'm giving myself 2 days this week. So, I was telling Teresha before we all went live that like I would come out of surgery, like, serious stuff, right? And I'd have somebody on the line that I was supposed to work with at 2:00, and they told me I was supposed to be out at 12, and I'm getting irritated because they're not letting me leave, and I've got a client to work with, for the next 3 hours. So but pacing myself, I'm not the best at this. I have to tell you, but I have had to take care of my mind because I've had a lot of emotional and psychological and mental stress in my life that I've had to either reframe, reposition, or make it make sense to me, because I needed to do that so that I could keep moving forward. And I've tried to take the best, most positive, without being delusional, version of what I've experienced in my life. And another thing is, I've always tried to find a gift in the pain, a gift in all of the chaos, in all of the challenges, because I do fully 100%, 1,000% believe that life is not here to torture us, that everything is somehow intended for us to at least look for what is a greater message here, because things are never what they appear to be. There's layers and layers and layers behind this stuff. Even the finest minds and understandings could get a few layers, and there's just rows and rows of dimensions after that. So if you find the gift in the pain, if you can find it, not 10 years later, like, oh, glad I didn't marry Glenn, but if you can find it as it's happening, it eliminates the pain, because then you see the why, right?
That's so important. So I'm going to break that down in terms of what I heard. I'm going to break that down, Susan.
Okay, girl. So, all right. Okay.
Me time. You make sure that in the evenings, 8 p.m., that's your time. Me time, shut down, Susan time. Absolutely love that. So for people listening, I'm saying make sure that you have a bit of me time in order for taking care of yourself. And whatever me time looks like for you, whether that's daily, regular, weekly, schedule in that time for you. So important when it comes to self-care and our well-being. Rest. Susan's having 2 days rest after surgery.
Yeah, I'm going to give myself Friday and Saturday. Sunday, I have it open for consultations, but who knows? It's a weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So important there. So in terms of having daily rest, weekly rest, whatever that looks like, to rest physically and also cognitively, so important when it comes to our well-being. Susan also spoke about the conversion of finding the gift in that pain. And that's not always easy to do.
No.
However, in that moment, and this is also what I talk to my clients about too, is how can we convert the experience into a gift? And even if you're not able to do that in that moment, accept it for now. Accept it for now, and then come back to it. So again, there might be a little bit of a process. What's your thoughts on that?
So there's a quicker way to do it. You can actually, I wrote about it in Allowing Magnificence. You can if you get good at this, you can kind of do it in real time. So as well as your soul purpose, you don't need to go away for a weekend. It's a really simple question you ask yourself. So when you are experiencing the world, what is the injustice that you can't stop thinking about? What is the thing that you are passionate about? What is the experience you've had that was so beyond normal? There's that experience, and then there's your experience of it was cinematic. That's not for nothing. When you get a bigger than normal experience, those are the seeds of something to be done with it. And normally it's to share, to transform, to relieve pain, edify something, correct a wrong, whatever is your greatest pain, the greatest injustice, whatever, something is in that. There are so many women that write this big book after a divorce. People have never written before, and they self-publish a book, and they spend years, and they go through it. Helps a lot of women. They get married to the man who's the love of their life, because they not only processed it for themselves, but that you're going to heal yourself by figuring out the bigger version of this. So, for example, when I was being tormented and ridiculed and all the stories made up about me when I was with my much younger partner, it was so insane what was happening that I felt like I was stuck in a Black Mirror or some Outer Limits, some kind of, I oftentimes wondered if I was like dead and just dreaming this, because it was just like, it's not real life. And then I kept thinking, if I just knew why I'm suffering, I'll do it. And so I'm talking to whatever, is listening to me. And I'm just at a loss. Like, I'll pay the price, but I've got to know it's got a reason. And then a casual conversation with a girlfriend said, oh, we should write a book. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm not the only one. It was so intense for me because I'm supposed to be so motivated, impelled, and pissed off that other people are being treated like this, that I can go out and advocate for them. And in advocating for them, my pain dissipated. Not only that, the very people that tried to destroy me have been relegated to doing nothing but seeing me around for 25 years in press and TV and magazines and you name it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So whatever this thing now is, there are the seeds of your being able to utilize it, not only to your healing, but to a grander healing.
Oh, wow.
So just ask what that is.
What
could it possibly be, right?
Oh, such a lovely reflective question there, Susan. And when you were talking there, it reminded me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the self-actualization. It really is putting you to the top of that pyramid to say, what's this bigger sense of purpose that I'm here? And what an energy shift in that as well, to be able to go outside of yourself and live that life of passion and purpose for the greatest good of everybody else. Amazing.
Even when I see a guy that I'm attracted to and I'm getting the vibes from him, first question I ask myself is, what is my purpose here? Just because I feel romance and chemistry doesn't mean that that's the highest way to serve him or to serve the assignment. I call it an assignment. Like, you don't always know what they are, but when you're given one and you're kind of stepping back and your observer self is going, so what should I be doing here? How could I intersect? What am I supposed to share with this person at this point in time? Now, most people never get past the point that he's cute, I want it.
Yeah.
They're not listening to your show.
No. Well, please listen. Tune in, because you're about a level of self-growth that you would experience. And that's why our relationships have changed so much over the years, because before, where it was more like that physiology need that we needed, and all of the basic security needs, now we are also looking for people to help us achieve our goals and our potential. So the dynamics that we need to be focused on. So what are our dreams and our goals? What's that potential that we are aiming towards? So the whole concept of relationships over the years has changed so much. And if you're not keeping up with it, you're kind of going backwards when it comes to how we are lifing right now.
So I think you might be better at self-love than me. What do you do?
Oh, in terms of self-love, oh gosh, let me reel that off for you.
Or self-care. Let me say self-care. Is that better?
Absolute self-care. And some people like to use the word well-being, whatever resonates. So for me, in order to nurture myself, I have a practice. So for me, I always start the morning with meditation and prayer. Wow. I don't look at my phone. I do not look at my phone in the morning. The only thing I do is turn off my alarm. So I turn off my alarm, I'm straight into prayer, contemplation, and meditation. That's the first thing that I do.
You set your compass. Got it.
I absolutely. And I ask myself, what do I need today? How do I want to feel today? What has the universe got in store for me today? I'm excited. I really put forward that energy that helps me to take care of myself. It's not about looking at my emails, social media, and all of these things that could trigger me in that moment or activate me. Straight into prayer and contemplation. Of course, I've mentioned to you as well that I have a daughter, and she's a young daughter. Her name's Jada, and she's 7 years old at the moment. So before I'm getting her ready for school, I listen to sometimes your show in the mornings that I listen to. So that's lovely. A bit of personal development. Me nourishing my mindset is so important. So whatever I'm listening to is so important that I am growing and I'm learning and educating myself. So that's all part of my morning routine.
Fabulous.
Get my daughter ready for school. She goes off. I do my business, my coaching, all of my business work that I have to do. In terms of my boundaries, I do not do any work when she's back from school. That's mummy and Jada time. We sit down and we just have that quality bonding time together until she goes to bed. Then I might jump on a call with you. Like today, it's like 8:30 in the evening. I'm fine. I'm full of energy because I eat well. Relatively well. So it's all about what I eat as well, my breathing techniques. That really matters to me. Exercising, moving, walking in nature, And then before I go to bed, I also do my gratitude practice. So I have a gratitude journal and I write down 10 things I'm grateful for that day and how it made me feel and why. And then I also do my wins for the day as well. Small wins, big wins. And I go to sleep in positive energy, visualizing my goals, my dreams, and my desires. And then it's like Groundhog Day, do the same thing again the next day. But it's the pattern.
My goodness, that is so good.
I
used to meditate every morning when I was living with the much younger man, because I didn't really have the kind of pace for my work I do now. I was kind of in between. I had a cable show called Higher Ground on spirituality and higher consciousness, and I was still working with independent clients. I was not in this profession. So I had more time to work out and to meditate, and I had so much chaos going on around me. I needed to ground myself, but somehow I allowed my work to take over my life. And I hear stories like this, and I know that's why you're so centered. And I know that's why you're so powerful too, because the power comes from being unified with yourself, right? And it's incredible being unified with yourself. You start your day to set that every morning and every night.
Yeah,
that's magnificent.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. It's all about intentionality. I think when it comes to me, has it been easy? No, it hasn't been the easiest ride. But for me, in order to regulate my nervous system, one of the only things that I can control most times is my routine. So that really helps me to be in the routine, even if I'm going through a period of time and it just feels so heavy and I don't know how I can get out of it. It's like, so what's in my stick with the routine, with the routine. Then it makes the body feel like safe. So safety is so important. And I think when it comes to self-love, taking care of our well-being, is that how can we create that psychological, that emotional and social equilibrium in ourselves? And I think that makes up so much when it comes to our positive mental health and well-being. So thank you so much for asking. And I know that we are probably coming to an end now of this discussion, Susan.
No, I'm feeling rejected. Wait, I'm going to push you away energetically. I don't need you.
I'm feeling the pull. Zoom will probably shut down now. Something weird will happen. I'll go back in the recording when it even be recorded. But no. But I absolutely love our conversation, Susan. You share so much wisdom and just you are authentic. And I think that absolutely radiates whenever you are talking, and it resonates with so many people. This is why you are global and you are in the role that you do. For anybody who is feeling a little bit disillusioned or discouraged about love in this present moment, what encouragement would you give to them at this time to help them to start feeling hopeful?
There's no last bus. I learned that living in New York. So in the 80s, when the crime was so bad that you didn't dare go in subways, everybody crammed into the bus. And they'd be like angry and aggressive. And the cabs, I'd get halfway in a cab and a guy in a business suit would throw me out on the curb. It was a violent, horrible time in New York City. And every time I had the impulse to cram into that bus because I thought it was the last one, I'm never going to get, I'd let it go. I stand there with two other people and there's another bus. So no matter what you think, they're not the last bus. They might be the only bus you see right now, but they're not the last bus. So
wonderful. There's no last bus. I love that, Susan. The bus might be a little bit delayed, like sometimes here in the UK, but
sometimes it's slow, but there's another one coming.
There's another bus coming. I absolutely love
don't ever train your mind to think that what left is the one and only, and oh my God, there'll never be another one like me. You know where we go?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, I call it that, like they fell off the conveyor belt. Like imagine you've got a little toy factory and the one that was coming your way just like broke halfway down and they were defective. Not for them, but for you. They're not going to, so they didn't go down the little slope to go into your package. Like they're not going to go because they were defective. So they came off the conveyor belt. Their little leg was broken or their arm or probably their head was on backwards, right?
Yeah. I love that visual. I think for a lot of people thinking about their exes right now, they're absolutely going to be applying that visual to them.
You send them in the irregular basket. You give them away to somebody. Yeah. Good luck. right?
Oh, absolutely amazing. Oh, Susan, I knew it was going to be a lovely, powerful conversation
Thank
with
you,
you again.
sweetie.
Thank you so much for returning to the
Thank
show.
you, everyone.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. And for anything, have you got any events or coming up that maybe our listeners would like to tune into or tap into at all?
So I actually have a radio show, which I never paid attention to. It's called The Susan Winter Show, and it's a podcast on all the streaming stuff. I just stripped the video from the audio from the video, and I threw it in there years ago. And my friend looked it up and she said, do you know you're in the top 1% of 3 million? I said, no, because I don't do anything with it. I don't code it properly. I don't do anything. But if you don't have time to watch, listen to the podcast, because the interesting thing is, now that I have a home in Arizona, I drive and I'm so far from everything. I never really did podcasts, but now that I know they exist, while I'm cooking, while I'm cleaning, while I'm setting up the lights, while I'm driving, it's time for me to learn, and I can acquire that. And it's so easy. So I don't know if you all know that, but that exists. And also, website is susanwinter.net. I have lots of resources. I have Breakup Triage in an audio booklet, 33 minutes long. It's, I think, brilliant, because you need to get over your pain. You don't have time to read 500 pages. You listen for 33 minutes, and it's free on Audible and a couple of dollars on Amazon. So it's clearly doable. I would suggest that, because it'll take you from what you think is loss to what you realize is an eternal gift that you have within yourself. So that's really important. Okay.
Such an investment in you for doing that. And I now know that I will be adding that radio to my morning routine, that podcast, to make sure that I listen to that too.
Thank you, love.
So thank you again, Susan.
And to everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Who has listened to this show. I want to thank you for your time, for your attention, and for your energy. And until the next episode, take great care of yourself and others too.